Hello, everybody. We are live from Smoky Mountain again. This is day 3 here, and trust me, we're ready for it to get over.
Right.
But anyway, we are going to bring you another podcast. So we're going to start out like we always do. I got my lovely guest here. She's going to introduce herself to you guys, and then we will get rolling.
Hi guys, my name is Tori. I'm from SRS Paranormal here locally, right here in Kingsport, Tennessee. We're a vendor right beside Kent at Smoky Mountain Terror. We've been neighbors all weekend, so nice to meet you guys.
So what do you think about Kent's new ink?
Looking pretty good. I've been tempted to get one myself.
Hey, not a bad price either. Only $120.
Oh, not bad at all.
All right. We'll start out like we always do. Just a couple icebreaker questions.
Sure.
Get to know each other a little bit better than we already do.
Right.
So the first one is a 2-part question.
All right.
It's still only like a 3rd grade level difficulty.
Let's
so we'll
do this. I got it.
All right. So, what is your favorite location you've investigated,
Okay.
and what is your ice bucket location?
Where do I want to go? My bucket list one? Okay, so the first one, my favorite thus far, has probably been Brushy Mountain. We've been twice in the last 4 months, and it's promising. There's never a time that I have went and nothing's happened. The probably bucket list, I would probably say, is Waverly. I've not gone yet. We just hit our bucket list, which was Trans-Allegheny, West Virginia, a couple weeks ago. So that one's now checked off. So next one's probably be Waverly.
Okay. Second icebreaker question is, what is your favorite piece of equipment? And you can't say yourself.
Oh, man. My favorite piece of equipment is probably going to be the dowsing rods. That's my favorite. It's the easiest for them to move energetically. It doesn't take a lot of batteries or power. It just uses us as that conduit, and it's more comfortable for the spirits to really connect with, and it's not as really intimidating as some of the other equipment may be, or loud for that matter.
So let's talk a little bit about our event last night.
Yes.
So for the ones of you who don't know and wasn't as lucky as I am, we got
lucky. I don't know. It was pretty intense.
It was really intense for me for a minute.
Yeah.
But that's my gifts God gave me, and it's to be used. Sometimes it's overwhelming.
Yep.
But we'll get to that. We're skipping ahead for you people out there. So last night we were at the Urine Shrine.
Yep, the Urine Shrine. Yep.
So for the people who don't know what the Urine Shrine is, why don't you describe it?
Sure.
Or attempt to. It's hard to describe.
I'll attempt. It's hard to describe if you've never been before. It's the Urine Shrine. Is based in Bristol, Tennessee. It is a place where we like to consider good and bad can come and be on equal playing grounds. There are rules that are set aside that they have to follow by. A gentleman by the name of Rick Bunn, who is there, he's the caretaker of that facility, and it is a phenomenal place. If you ever get a chance to come down here, you've got to be invited or asked and set up a time for them. But it's fantastic. It is a place where you can be who you are, whether you're a Christian, a Buddhist, atheist, whether you believe in this stuff or you're not, you're skeptical. You can come and experience things with no fear of being hurt by anything dark, connect with family members, and everything is neutral. There is nothing to be afraid of there.
That's probably a much better description than I could do.
That is a SparkNote version.
That's pretty much what it is. Some people sensationalize things.
Yes.
We got these YouTubers out there.
Right.
I'm not going to mention any names right now. Maybe later.
Yeah.
But not right now.
Yeah, I totally get it.
But so people who don't try to find out what the truth is, some people get intimidated by the shrine. They think it's like an evil spot. Well,
right.
I even got a member of my team that he's a satellite member. He's intimidated by it. When I told him I was coming down there, he's like, I'm sending that one out.
Right.
And he's usually the one that's any big event, he's there for it.
Yeah, he's ready to go.
And I don't get it. It's all about respect.
It is.
And that's what we need in this field anyway. That's how I investigate. I know that's how you guys investigate. So let's get a little bit into the shrine.
Sure.
I was privileged to go last night. Went in there. Did the tour. There's some interesting objects there. Let's talk about some of the objects. So we got some dolls and we got some table. Just talk about. Just start wherever you want.
Yeah. So my favorite probably part of that place is called the Dragon Table. The dragon table is a phenomenal, I would even say, furniture. It's a powerful tool for what we do. It is 7 layers of concrete, and each layer has something mythical, magical built into it. It was built straight at the shrine because it's over 6,000 pounds. It's not going anywhere, so don't try to steal it. But it is fantastic. Dragon heads on top. It's a very good place for even a seance or just to connect with anything and everything. It is a easy place to feel comfortable with, and you can have a bunch of people sit around and connect with dolls, like you were mentioning. We've got quite a few dolls there that are attached with their vessels for different spirits, whether human or non-human, and you can connect with them through the spirit box, dowsing rods, and feel safe and comfortable. That is probably my most favorite. There is a grotto there with a cave that's got some, he's got a hot tub in there. It's beautiful. With a waterfall that will be a conduit for a lot of energy movement. We did turn it on before we started last night to try to jive up the energy movement, get some connectivity going, and it did not disappoint.
So let's do clarify. Most people can use dowsing rods.
Yes, most people can.
Can't.
Yeah.
but that's another story for another day.
Yeah.
All right. So
they're hard to use. I know when I first started, it was really difficult to use them because I was so worried about something touching me to use them. But once you kind of let that guard down with them, they're like, okay, we can come in here, we can use these, we can fill you out a little bit. It makes it a little bit easier.
They like to hit me.
Some people, they do.
Yeah. It was explained to me by somebody with more experience.
Yeah.
So, I'm the clairvoyant medium, whatever. So one that's more experience with the power of me. My energy is so strong.
It can be.
But anyway, so let's talk a little bit more about the table. The table is awesome.
Yes.
I mean, that was probably my favorite part too.
Yes, mine too.
So like you said, there's several objects there. Let's talk a little bit about the Ouija board. You want to give them the history of the Ouija board?
So the Ouija board there, I've only seen it a couple times. It is a Ouija board owned by a serial killer, and for the life of me right now, I do apologize. I cannot remember the name of it, but right, yeah. So
it's
Matt
my show. I don't want to bet on my show.
Matt is a good one to remember that one, but it is owned by a serial killer. I was hoping they would know, but Matt's not standing there. But it was one of those. So they did have. I know they did do a couple sessions. We did split up, so I didn't get to see a whole lot of the Ouija board while we were gone because we were in the grotto the whole time.
I got to use the Ouija
Did you get to use it?
Yeah. Who out of my group, who was the best person using it?
You probably. You're going to volunteer first. I know that for sure. Ouija
Jimmy and Matt had a habit of volunteering me for stuff.
Yeah. You're voluntold. You're not even volunteering. Ouija boards, for some reason, I know they have a lot of bad rap, but I've never messed with one, so I honestly can't give you my own honest opinion. But they're no different than us using dowsing rods with quarters or whatever. But Hollywood has given them a really bad rap of being negative and dark, and so everybody deters themselves from them.
My problem with Hollywood is just because the Ouija board movie was so bad.
Yes.
But anyway,
yes.
So here's my honest opinion about a Ouija board. So I'm not a Ouija board person. I don't have one in my. I'm not anti-Ouija board.
Right.
I'm not pro-Ouija. Like you said, it's just another tool. If used properly and by somebody that's trained to use it,
right,
it's just another tool.
Right. And, we talk about, especially with our team, we do a lot of publics here locally, and everything is about intent. Kind of like you mentioned earlier, if you go in there really positive, asking for positive light, positive energy, that's what you're going to get in return. If you go in there, like a few people we see on television and YouTube, they go in there with kind of a darker, intent. That's what they're going to get. Yeah, provoking people. That's what they're going to get.
No provoking.
Yeah, we don't do that.
If you provoke, I'm coming through the screen. So I was one that got used the
Ouija board. Yeah.
So the first question that Matt asked was, first of all, let me say, it's just a regular Ouija board.
Yeah.
You would expect it to be like a fancy one.
Yeah.
It's just a Parker. It says Parker Brothers across the bottom. So you only have to be 4 years old to summon the demon, but you have to. But anyway,
right?
Bad joke. Radio face. Bad joke. I should be canceled. But so I got to do the Ouija board because obviously, as we all know, and most of my viewers know, my energy. So the first question Matt asked was, "What was his name? What was the first letter of his name?" And it really didn't make any sense. It was like JDJ or something.
Yeah.
So that really wasn't no help. But then he told me just to let the board.
Let it move itself.
So he ended up saying, "Be aware, not be afraid, but be aware." Yeah. So so I was still doing the Ouija board while Matt was moving on messing with his box. And by the way, that is the most awesome box I've ever seen. But anyway,
Oracle.
Yeah,
that box is fantastic.
So he was asking questions to that, and I was still using the board. So one of the questions he asked is he asked the spirit, what was it attached to, and the board spelled out doll, DLL.
Oh,
So that was cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then we passed around a couple of doors over
Yeah.
there, and yeah, that was interesting.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, of course we started out outside around the witches.
We did.
And so my personal experience, this, you were there, and everybody knows this, or most of you know this. I'm an open gate for people. I mean that's the way it needs to be. That's the way.
Right.
I mean, if it's dark, I don't give permission. But
Exactly.
But I don't try to shut off communication.
Right.
And as everybody knows, I'm a big fan of the Estes method. Matter of fact,
Love that.
I've actually modified my Estes method, and I actually include the paratech in it.
Oh, wow.
So, but anyway, so I
I
love.
didn't think about that.
But I'm not the person to be on the headphones.
In the receiving end.
Yeah. I need to be the question person.
Yeah.
But Jimmy, love him to death. Jimmy Ricker over there, he volunteered me to put on. Other people volunteering. Jimmy's like, "Kid, I'm going to get to you." And I kept trying to hide behind people.
Like, no, thank you. I don't want to.
So, but even before that, like everybody was doing the thing.
Yeah.
I was called. I don't like using the word summon. I was called. I was called to like the edge of the woods there, and so I just sat there. Everybody, people was worried about me, but it's just the way I have to communicate.
Yeah.
I sat down Indian style, and I just
They
basically
kind of want to get you by yourself so they can focus with you. Yeah.
So a bunch of mumbling. I couldn't understand most, but I did understand. Like I told you, it said Elizabeth.
Yeah.
So that's really what I understood. So then I got up and Jimmy got me on the headphones and like I have no idea what I said really. And then all of a sudden, at least, I don't know, multiple just came at me all at once.
Yes.
And I just threw off the headphones. The only thing I do know what I said because Josh and other people said is I am Elizabeth real like angry,
like you're frustrated.
Yeah, and as I said that, Josh actually has a picture like a light phenomenon coming right from my
out of your side.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So that was my personal experience.
Yeah.
I mean, it affected me so much because that drains your energy.
It does.
I don't know if you guys understand that, but
Yeah.
it does. It drains you. I actually had to leave. I tried to stay. I really did.
Yeah.
But I had to leave, and but I got that cool.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Even us too. I mean, as mediums for myself on our team, it's very difficult sometimes to stay around, especially when you find that connection that really draws to you. It does suck a lot of, and I say life, jokingly, but it does suck a lot of energy out of you. Like even us. I mean, on Friday night when we went to the shrine, I had an experience that I had to walk outside, and so I needed to take myself away, reground myself, put myself back on this plane a little bit, and go back to it. So I mean, it hits us all a little bit differently.
And that's the important thing. Like you said, you have to reground yourself.
You do.
And so that. And I don't criticize any form of investigation. If it works for you, if it works for you, and you're not faking it,
exactly,
I'm going for it. But I've never been a big fan of the human penalty.
Oh yeah.
I've just every time I've ever seen it, it's always last night was a little bit different. So let me backtrack and say every time I've ever seen it done, it's always just been 3 people.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm not a fan is because it leaves too much to interpretation.
Exactly.
I actually got to be dependent once, and I obviously knew I wasn't faking. So in my energy, so for what I understand, with my years of experience, I'm not going to say expertise.
Yeah.
But with my years of experience, and discussing it with other like gifted people, what I understand is if you bend at the knees to indicate, they'll probably fake it.
Yeah.
Because that actually takes an effort.
It does. Yeah.
And if if you just fall back, kind of like the old trust test.
Yeah, exactly.
If you just fall back or fall forward, I did that when I did it, and that scared me to death because I like.
Yeah, you think you're really going to fall,
especially with my Kiori, because my balance is.
Right.
So it just leaves too much room for interpretation.
I could definitely understand that.
But last night, Jimmy did it, and he made a circle.
Yeah, that's what we do too.
And that was a lot better. I'm actually going to attempt. I think my next investigation, which is Saturday, I'm at the Grand Riverview Mansion.
Oh, yeah.
So I think I'm going to try to use that.
We use it a lot. Adriana, which is one of the women on our team, she's actually married to the president, who's Matt. she's very big on the pendulum. She loves them. She really, really is good with connecting with them. So she actually started that with us with human pendulums, and we do 4 people, usually putting one of the mediums in there as a conduit to kind of help the energy flow. And so you can watch people kind of what you said. They bend their knees and they fall forward. Almost you have to literally catch them. We're like, it's a little iffy. But you'll, like last night we did a couple times, you watch them and they'll just tilt just enough, and we'll ask, them for the spirits to show us yes, no, what they want versus making it yes and no, which way we need to go. So it does leave a little bit of, curiosity if it really is real.
So let's just talk a little bit about, since we're talking about different techniques and stuff, let's just go ahead and talk about like different equipment. So so we all have different equipment. You see all mine over there. You can't see it, but I got all mine over there. I don't have all mine. I got like 5 pieces over there. But
so if we brought all ours, we'd need a whole nother booth.
I only bought the bottom level of my kit because I got a Kia, so I couldn't fit all my equipment and 3 people. So what people need to understand, for the most part, none of the equipment we used was originally designed for paranormal.
What we do it for,
Somebody smarter than me, which doesn't take much. Somebody. I have a very low opinion of myself. Somebody smarter than myself adapted everything to the paranormal field.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's just talk about a few of our popular equipment. So let's start out with probably the most popular right now for whatever reason. Let's talk about SLS.
Yeah. So the SLS camera, basically, is a kinetic device from the Xbox.
Which was a bad video game system.
Right.
But apparently, again, somebody smarter than me.
He's modified it, and it works just fine for us. It is, a mirrored image camera view of your surroundings. Who will, that'll map out us as stick figures, but also of anything that we cannot see with the naked eye, it'll map those out too. And sometimes it's very, very confidence boosting because it will see things and we can feel it, energetically, and it's just another way to validate what we're doing. Good, it really is. We've been a few places where we can feel it and you can watch it on the tripwire, or an EMF reader, and then you'll see it. It's just another term validation, and it's fantastic. I love it.
So I got a love-hate relationship with this.
Yeah, I can see.
So the 1.5, I don't know why it's 1.5 and not 2.
Yeah.
I have the 1.5 now. So, but going back to the version 1, the original.
Yeah.
To me, maybe it was too sensitive. Or whatever. But a lot of false positives.
Yes.
Like it would pick up a pile of clothes.
Yeah, or a chair.
Yeah. Or I even saw it pick what's it called, the end of the staircase, the banister.
The banister. Yeah.
It clicked to me. See, most people are smarter than me.
It's a lot of words to try to remember.
Yeah. But then now I got the. So my first one I actually built myself.
Oh, cool.
It works really good. My first new version. It works really good. Only bad thing about it is I didn't know how to provide the power pack. Mm-hmm. So it's just double A batteries.
Yeah.
So it only lasts about 45 minutes.
Oh my goodness.
But I'm working on that.
Yeah.
But since I've upgraded to the new one, I've got like really good results. Like me and Jill, we won this investigation in Clay City, Kentucky.
Oh wow!
It's a hotel. So and I have permission to share this story. So it's a hotel. Like one hotel/apartment type hotel.
Yeah.
And so they have this one room with those 5 verified murder suicides.
Oh my goodness!
Just this one room. The last one that disappeared. The last one that just disappeared. They never found the body. Never found. It's a husband and wife that owns it. Mm-hmm. And whenever the wife goes to clean the rooms, the cameras go crazy. She said, well, she didn't want it to be labeled as a haunted location.
Right.
So she wouldn't let the husband.
Wouldn't tell nobody.
Yeah. So she wouldn't let the husband. But they decided they were going to sell it. So then they reached out to us. I don't know why me, because I was 8 hours away.
Yeah.
This way on the other side, but we went anyway. It was just me and Jill. We were the only two that went. So me and Jill, we got into the room, and I'm not a huge cat ball person.
Yeah.
I'm not anti-cat ball. It's just never worked
They're
for me.
tricky. Yeah.
So, but I got the good ones. I don't have the ones that you go and buy at Fit Sense. So I decided just to sit them on the, because it had the long dresser like every hotel. So I just decided to sit it on there. Something took just one of them and pushed it all the way down.
Oh my goodness.
And so we asked him to do it again, and he wouldn't do it. So then we ended up setting up all of our equipment. So we set up the SLS. And the important thing for you guys out there to know about the SLS is contrary to what you see on TV, the SLS is not designed to carry around. It's designed to be a stationary piece of equipment. So obviously I set it down stationary. We had everything going. I didn't have the Apple box yet, but we had the Paratech, voice recorder, video camera, everything. So we moved to the little dinette table that you had. So what we ended up finding out between the spirits communicating with me and the history of the location was, before it was a hotel. This is a sad part of Kentucky history, guys. In eastern Kentucky, up in that part of that rural, when families had too many kids, they just sold them into slavery.
Oh my goodness.
And that location is where they sold them.
Oh wow.
So we found out we ended up dealing with 3 groups of spirits. We had the kids, then we had this special needs, because back then they wouldn't call it special. We had a special needs. He was a little bit older, maybe like 14, 15, and he was trying to get the kids. And then we had the people that deal with sellers. So that's what we was doing. So we figured out the person using the cat burrows was probably the kids. It's a ball. So we asked them if they could do it again, and when it came across the Paratech, I can't do that. That's exactly what it said. So we moved it to the table, and we asked them if we could do it, and they said, I can again. And then on the SLS, you captured what looked like 2 kid-sized stick figures, and you saw what looked like the arms going like this, like they were trying to push the ball.
Oh wow.
So that was a wow moment.
Yeah.
And then when I started dealing with the malicious spirit, not demonic, malicious.
Cranky, we'll say.
Yeah. I guess I could say demon. Now I got more likes. I'm a little bit of a smart ass.
Sorry, I totally get it. I feel the same way.
Yeah, it's my show. I can do
You can do what you want, right?
So when we finally got to dealing with the malicious spirit, what was interesting is just a wall like you have it. It was like a peaches color warrior.
Yeah.
And when I said a question that made the spirit upset, you saw like a 6'4" figure, like
oh my
it looked like it was trying to come out.
Oh no.
Yeah. So it was an interesting thing. So SLS, as long as it's used properly, as long as you don't carry it around.
You have to keep a little skepticism with that.
Yeah, I do everything from a skeptic side.
Yeah,
obviously I'm a believer.
Yeah.
But I go into every investigation. So this is more of a controversial one. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Let's talk about phone apps.
Ooh. Phone apps are tough because for us, when we go on investigations, we always ask our guests to turn on airplanes because they will set off their signals and set off EMF detectors. They'll set off K2 meters. So they're tough. You again, kind of like the SLS. I think if you go with a little bit of skepticism with them, they can be validating. But again, you have to be really leery. Especially like the ghost talker that comes. We use it quite frequently. It does provide a lot of good evidence for us. But again, you're still like, what is real coming out of the phone with that, and what's just being triggered by another signal from something else?
So here's my take. If we care, it's my show, so we're gonna get in.
Yeah. Let's do it.
So we have people on each side are pretty passionate about their side. So I will say there's 2 differences in this when it comes to phone apps.
Yeah.
One difference is your phone can definitely be the best voice recorder you can get.
Exactly.
So that's a definite.
Yep.
The other definite is your phone can definitely not be an EMF reader.
Yes.
Because it pushes up too much.
Exactly.
So other than those 2 positives, I'm kind of in between. This is what I'll say. we have to think our phones nowadays are basically just mini computers.
Exactly.
So why couldn't they be programmed to help us? Like you said, we have to be skeptical. There's a lot of the apps out there actually say for entertainment only.
Yeah.
Those that say for entertainment only, probably all for entertainment.
Yeah.
Only. But then you have ones like Spirit Talker.
Yep.
You have Paratech actually has an app.
Oh, cool.
It's the version 3, so it's 2 versions
Okay.
older than that.
Yeah.
So but it's still good. I was forced to use it one time. I was actually in the old Stones Gym in Franklin, Kentucky.
Okay, yeah.
My son decided not to pack any of my equipment. So,
Oh, no.
so I was doing an investigation without any equipment. So I was like, well, we'll try this. And I got some good stuff on it.
Yeah.
Like it said election without me asking a question. And when it said election, I looked behind me and there was an election poster.
Oh my goodness, no way.
So yeah. So I mean, again, risk skepticism
Exactly.
used properly. There it is. Let me see it.
Cool.
Let me see.
Vanna White moment. No.
1990.
For small one-time fee.
So this is how it works for my team, though.
Yeah.
So my team cannot use the phone app unless I approve it.
Cool. That's a good.
And we test them. It's my reputation. It's
Yeah,
my name.
exactly.
I'm the one that pays the insurance. I'm the one that pays the lawyer.
Yep.
I'm the one that's been doing this 40 years.
Yep.
You
got a lot riding on them.
And I do that with every piece of equipment. Any new piece of equipment we get, we test it for 5 investigations
That's awesome.
before we add it to our toolkit.
Good.
And that's just like, so let's talk about obelisk. That's another problem.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go first.
Go for it.
So, okay. So I have a couple issues with obelisk.
Uh-huh.
First issue I got is no piece of equipment should cost $800.
Preach.
Second piece of equipment, it's just a word bank.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. So I have a problem with that. So it's almost all OTCs. So you got the obelisk,
Mm-hmm.
then you got the Periscript. By the Periscript, the first time I saw it used was a little bit better than, but then it started just doing random stuff. If you have any OPS and it starts saying safety all the time, that's BS. So I use. You want to hand it to me, the green one?
The green one.
So this is what I use. This is a Paratech. It's made in England, so they don't give them fancy names.
Yeah.
It's Paratech, which is the brand, and then it's a VM5. So, and I've tested this. I've now been using this for 2 years.
Oh wow.
And I love this thing because I use it with other equipment, so they validate as well.
Right.
But I like it because it's not going to turn on for me. It's probably dead for the shrine.
Probably dead for. Yeah, I was gonna say they like to pull a lot of energy off stuff like that.
So you can personalize it to your investigation. It's got 18 settings, and it's not just a bird bank. Like I've never got anything from it that wasn't
real. Like what's going on?
Yeah. For example, for my birthday, I went to the remote house.
Oh, awesome.
For me, that's a perfect place for.
Yeah.
For a normal person, probably not.
Like,
but I never claimed to be normal. So
it is normal anyway.
Yeah. Who wants to be normal? So normal's not fun.
It's not fun.
So
It'd be different.
So anyway, we went up there the 18th. My birthday's actually the 19th. So at midnight, which we actually made it my birthday, I decided to do a solo in the basement. That's where the demonic spirits.
Yeah.
It's so I hate calling it a demonic spirit, but even my good friend Matt Midden, he did his documentaries, The Demon House. I guess it gets more recognition,
more attention. Yeah.
It helps when you're getting funding for it. So, but anyway, so I go down there and I decided to do a solo for my birthday. So I set up everything: the video camera, voice recorder. I have the Apple box. Hand me the Apple box.
This one. Fan of white moment. I love it. So good at that.
$199. It is. So I have these two pieces. These are the main two pieces of equipment I use. So the Apple box is just a yes no.
Okay.
It's a really good yes no. It's made by Ghost Girl.
Oh, cool.
Rob Rukowski makes it. And Rob Rukowski's day job is he's an engineer. So he's way smarter.
Very smart.
So he designed this. and he's designed it where it eliminates the false positives.
Oh,
And,
fantastic.
and you can do it with voice on or voice off.
Oh, awesome.
Voice on is Dave Schroeder's voice,
Really?
which is cool, except for you if you forget about it at 2 o'clock in the morning,
scares
then
the crap out of you.
you have Dave, because Dave Schroeder's got that deep voice.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I don't even call Dave Schroeder anymore.
Yeah.
I now call him the voice.
Dude, that's a good one.
That's how I talk to him.
Yeah.
He laughs at me, but that's okay. Lots of people laugh at me. At least he laughs at me because I'm funny, and not because I'm funny looking. And but so I have these two pieces of equipment.
Yeah.
These are my two. So I just start my regular question. When I interview, when I investigate, I talk to the spirit just like I'm talking to you.
Right. Yeah.
Just carry on a conversation. You got to make the spirit comfortable with
You do.
you got to make them feel comfortable enough to talk to you.
Exactly.
So I'm talking to the spirit, and I'm like, I'm trying to find out its history. I want to know its story.
Right.
That's why we're there.
Exactly.
So, and I know you guys know. I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but I'm talking to them too. So the thing that's strange about the Monroe House is almost like the Urinary Shrine. Nobody really knows the true history of it.
Right.
I know nobody knows why it's so. They call it the mysterious Monroe House because nobody really knows. They don't know if it's a property. I mean, there's theories that maybe it's built on top of an unknown Indian burial ground.
Yeah.
Maybe, but nobody really knows.
Nobody knows.
The only history that everybody really knows is that the land was given to the first Black Revolutionary War. The first Black Revolutionary War soldier.
Oh.
So that's all they know.
Yeah.
Other than that, everything's just and you know that a lot of the families in the trial were very abusive. The husbands were. So and they know it's burned down 5 times, but they don't really know. They don't really know why.
Yeah,
why this happened. So I'm just asking questions. So I'll ask. My first question is, did you die here?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
kind of.
It helps check a lot of boxes.
Yeah,
That one
yeah.
question.
And it said yes. This said yes. This didn't say anything. So I got yes. Jay Sherwood, yeah. So then I was like, okay, did you die in the house?
Yeah.
Because especially there, that's necessary to know.
Yeah.
And it said yes. So I was like, cool, we'll get some. So then I was like, so now I would like to know how you died.
Yeah.
If that's okay. And it said yes. So have to be respectful.
Right.
Some people don't want to talk about how they died.
Yep.
Some people don't realize they're dead. So anyway,
I was going to say that too.
I was actually asked that last night in the shrine. Am I dead?
Yeah, some people don't know.
I hate answering that question.
You do, because then you have to be the one to be like, yes, you died a long time ago.
Yeah.
And it's just that you get that reality check, like,
yeah, and sometimes that take you too well.
Yeah, they don't accept it.
Yeah, and so then I was like, so let's find out how you died. I was like, were you killed by a gun? Were you shot? And he said no. So then I was like, okay. Were you physically killed?
Yeah.
Were you beat to death? Were you strangled? It said no again.
Okay.
At this point, I'm a little bit confused, and that's actually what I said.
Yeah.
I mean, you watch the video on my YouTube page, and Ken 10 Paranormal.
Infomercial time.
Yeah. So then I was like, and exactly what I said was, okay. So now I'm a little bit confused. You said you died in the house, yes, but you did not die from violence or gunshot, yes. I was like, okay, so then can you tell me how you died?
Yeah.
Let's put it on their plane.
Right.
That was a yes or question, and that was on purpose.
Yeah.
So then I got on this fire.
Oh my gosh.
I had mentioned fire.
Yeah. It came up on its own.
It came up on its own. So that, I mean,
That's
that just
very
shows you that.
validating for sure. Yeah.
So that was a long way to go to talk about the office.
Yes. But it's good though. It's good information.
So what's your take on the office?
I feel a lot of the same way that you do. I think it's a word bank, nonetheless. So it can be a little bit tricky. We don't use an obviously a whole lot. We will sometimes, but again, that I think I go in with that one with the most skepticism because it could just pick out random words. It could, anything could happen there. So you could go down a rabbit hole that may not be anything, and you've wasted 30 minutes of something else is trying to tell you a story, and you're just out there in the field. So probably not one of my most favorite pieces of equipment, but we use it. This one?
Quarter box. That's what we're going.
What's going on?
That's what we're going to talk about next.
Okay.
So. You cannot buy a valve. So I'm going to let you go first.
Okay, perfect.
So what is your take on a portal box?
That's what
you can hold it.
Spirit boxes. These, I love them, and I also hate them. Here's the reason why. I love them because
I'm sure we're on the same page.
probably it gives spirits a voice that you may not hear, right? But in my personal opinion, being more empathic, more mediumistic, I cannot stand the noises. It becomes annoying to me. It's like nails on a chalkboard. So I love it better with Estes, putting headphones in, tuning everyone else out that I can just focus in and hone in. But just kind of like what you're talking about last night, listening in, it feels like 1,000 people trying to talk to you at one time. That's what happens to me. So I'm really cautious in using it because of that reason. It's too many people at one time. Way too many people.
Exactly, and I feel that. I mean, I feel that. So okay. So when we talk about spare boxes, and we can't talk about one without the other.
Yeah.
I'm actually more partial towards the smaller.
Yeah.
So to me, the portal box style of your spare box is good for video.
Yes.
It's good for TV.
Yes.
It's good for YouTube. But the static to me kills it.
Yes.
So, but your little SP 130 and all those,
Yeah.
I think they're good. Especially good for like the Estes method.
Yes.
But like I said, I'm skipping ahead of myself again. So I'm talking to them.
Yeah. We're getting trigger happy. We're talking about everything.
So you can hold that or put it down. I don't care. So this we've covered most of the.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about REM pod. We can't say REM pod anymore. We may get sued.
Yeah.
So let's talk about a kin pod.
Yeah, I love it.
So this is not the actual REM pod.
Yeah.
This was actually made for me by another investigator.
Awesome.
Eddie, junkie addict. So, and I wouldn't use him anyway.
No.
He was reliable to him, and
Yeah.
he's with a lot of personal stuff.
Gotcha.
So I actually have two pieces of equipment for that.
Uh-huh.
I actually have yeah. Anyway, we'll skip ahead. So anyway, a REM pod is really just an EMF reader.
It is.
So again, you have, as long as it's used properly, it's okay. One thing you have to understand is it's got to be sitting on a flat surface.
It does.
And the antenna's got to be up.
Yeah.
If the antenna is down, fat fingers. So if the antenna is down, you get all kinds of false positives. So Rob Rakowski, from Postgres, he's actually working on a antennaless.
Wow, that would be nice.
That's what he's working. So yeah, because he was on my show last year. He has his own show now, Engineering the Paranormal, which is good for him. We discuss like every piece of equipment in the world because that's what he is.
Yeah.
So, everybody admits the antenna is
the key.
Hand me your thing, Jim. So this is probably one of my favorite pieces of equipment. This is mine, but she thinks it's hers.
Get to share.
So this is a thermal camera.
Yeah.
So what's your opinion on thermal camera?
I think it's pretty validating because it is scientific. I mean, you can't change the temperature of a room, right? You can't fake that. So it's very good to see a cold spot in a room. He's so good at this. If you need a hand model, there he is. He's all yours. Look at him go.
Contact my agent.
But no, I do think we have a FLIR camera, which is very similar, just more of a visual.
So yeah. I'm a poor boy from a poor family. That's why I got this one.
Hey, but you got to start somewhere, right?
So believe it or not, you know why I got this?
You tell me Home Depot.
No. I wouldn't buy it. Never mind. I got it from Harbor Freight.
Really?
And this is actually the upgrade because I bought the warranty on it.
Yeah.
I have a Harbor Freight membership because that's where I buy my batteries from.
There you go.
She broke my last one.
Uh-oh.
So not on purpose.
No, good.
So
hopefully never on purpose.
So this one is actually really cool because it actually plugs in to charge.
That's nice.
And everything. But yeah, so this is like $200.
Yeah.
And some people, I want a flicker, and eventually I have equipment sponsors now, so I'm going to get better equipment.
There you go.
I have two. So but some people actually like this better because it's simpler. So I think that
it is.
And for people from Western Kentucky like me, we like simple. But I mean,
nothing wrong with simple. Simple's easy. I work harder.
So anyway, all thermal cameras work basically the same way.
Correct.
Were you here yet? So, can you see that? So you have heat signatures.
Yep.
So you either get something or you don't. See heat signatures. So my two best thermal camera stories. I'm still mad at my son for this one.
Oh no.
So we was at a place I've investigated dozens of times. So it's called the Metropolitan Hotel. It was the African American hotel in segregation. It's always been known to be active.
Yeah.
And it's from my hometown, so obviously I've had it. So we were investigating one time, and somehow I got a whole thumbprint, like a perfect, like you were getting, like you getting thumbprint,
DNA,
on the thermal camera.
No way.
And he deleted it.
Oh.
Not on purpose, but he deleted it.
Oops.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like that before
Perfect.
or after. And I mean, I tried to,
Replicated everything.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So, and then the other one I got. So my team's large, like you said.
Yeah.
So we trained in an abandoned hospital in Carolina. It's been abandoned since 1988.
Yeah.
So it's like fully abandoned. So we were actually investigating it. I was actually playing tour guide this time, which I hate doing because I wanted to investigate.
Right.
So, but I had JB Coates. I don't know if you know JB Coates.
Yeah.
She's from Tennessee. She's an author too. And JB's thing, she's a wonderful lady. She was actually going to be in my event last year, but her husband was diagnosed with fast-acting terminal cancer. So she didn't make it. Actually, she called me. She's like, I don't think I'm going to make it. I was like, no, you're going to stay in the hospital. If you come up here, I'm sending you back.
That's it.
So,
turn around and send you.
So her thing is she likes to go live on TikTok. I'm not a TikTok person. I'm old.
I'm trying to figure it out. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, I let my kids take care of that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good on Facebook, as you
me
see,
too.
and I do okay on YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm actually reached out to Murray State University to see if they can send me a cameraman
Oh,
because
nice.
that's what we lack. We suck at that. But anyway, so we was training. No, we wasn't training together. We were hosting JB and her team, and so we were on the third floor. The third floor is interesting because the third floor, I don't know, I've never figured out why they did this. The third floor was, so back 1990s and prior, when you went to hospice, you went to the hospital.
Yeah.
Hospice wasn't at home. So the third floor was the maternity ward, the hospice ward, and the psych ward.
Combination.
Yeah. So we were in the part that was the psych ward, and there's a dog story that's validated there. Validated by Brandon, who used to be chief of police. There was a black guy they were sentenced to the mental hospital for raping the black girl. It wasn't really a rape, but that was 1950s.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and so he ended up committing suicide. He got hung by it. So anyway, so you have that there, and you got others because you have hospitals are really usually good places because you see life, you see death.
You do.
So anyway, we're there, and then JB decides to go live, and if she goes live, I get a scratch.
No way.
Yeah, I'm just there. So anyway, that's just a backstory to the thermal camera. So we get ready to leave, and I decided to just take a picture with the thermal camera. There's only 3 people on the floor at this time. Me, and Dennis, and Lee, so 2 of my team members. So I just take a picture. And when I took a picture, you get Dennis, you get Denise, but then you get a 6'4" heat signature perfectly right in between them.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
So those are my 2 good thermal
Those are
cameras.
good with those. I mean, that's we're talking about cold
So here's something that I didn't get to do with any of my guests yesterday. I like to do 2 speed rounds.
Oh my goodness! All right.
So we're going to do 2 speed rounds. The first one is we're going to talk about different kinds of activity.
Okay.
I don't like to say hunting because that's a negative. I don't even call it hunting when I go to a place. I call it active.
Yeah.
So and that's just because people are so negative when they say hunting.
Right.
So let's talk about the different kinds of activities.
Yeah.
And just give you a take on it, what you think about it, your experiences with it.
Yeah.
You follow me? We're
Yeah,
on the same
I got
page?
you.
At least in the same library?
Yeah, we're in the same library. That's not what you're stepping in, as I like to say.
Here we go.
I feel pressured.
So, let's start out with visual.
Oh, very simple. Hard to kind of tell, though, because you don't know if it's being, it's really happening or if we're just going through emotion. So you got to pay attention to what you're doing.
Yeah, so for the peanut gallery out there, A residual hunting is kind of like a glitch in the
Yeah,
matrix.
they're just going through repetition. It's monotonous, same thing over and over and over again. It's a cycle.
Deja vu is probably a residual.
Yeah, I would say so. You've already been there, done that.
Yep. So residual hunting, yeah, definitely can't dismiss it.
You can't dismiss it.
But it's hard to validate too.
It is.
Because there's no communication.
There is not.
So my best residual hunting story, going back to the Metropolitan Hotel.
Yeah.
One of the famous ghosts there is Miss Maddie, who was the owner. She at 11:01. I don't know why 11:01.
Yeah.
At 11:01, she comes down the staircase. That's all she does.
Huh,
Just
just come down the staircase.
So, like I said, I've investigated this place, and of course, every time I've tried to catch her.
Yeah.
I mean, I shut down the investigation, and everybody comes down with cameras and everything at
At 11 o'clock, ready to go.
10:55.
Yeah.
And so the last time, actually about 3 times ago, when I investigated, we actually had a film crew from Belmont University come up with us.
Oh wow.
So we shut it down, and we actually captured her on video.
Coming down the steps.
Come downstairs,
Oh,
and you
my
actually saw the curtains move.
Wow.
So that was a big win.
That's cool.
Yeah. So the next one is probably everybody's favorite, intelligent hunting.
Intelligent audience, those are my favorite because they tell their stories, right? There's some you may not even get to ever validate from a history book, but you know that they happened, and they will talk to you again. Back to the boxes, you hear their voices. You can't deny those things, right? And it'll be repetition, same voices all the time. That's the stories that I love. That's the people, the spirits we get to help. Those are my favorite.
Mine too. So this is the thing I've been working on for about a year now. I had a guest last year, and for whatever reason, residual huntings have always been looked upon as the most common.
Right.
But she pointed out the fact that intelligent huntings might actually be the most common because we can actually validate those.
You can.
So I've been working that way, and I kind of agree with that. And so the next one's kind of interesting because there's no true definition for it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of just gives you a take on it, and we'll kind of discuss this one a little
Yeah,
bit.
sure.
Poltergeist.
Ooh, that's tough. I mean, we'll kind of give you an example. Last night we were at the shrine, and there's a doll in there that she keeps her arm up. And Rick talks about that her arm is really stiff. You can't move it. You can't do anything. You really have to force it down. And she's got a pendant that hangs in her hand. So, I mean, 2 days we walked back and forth past her all day long. And last night we took the first group in. Fine. She was chilling in there. Walked back through with the second group. Her arms down. Nobody had touched her. She was in the same room with us the whole entire time. So I think they do happen. I think they're harder to catch sometimes to some people.
You have to ask permission for the door.
You do.
I asked permission. I got both arm and both down.
Yeah.
I took back-to-back pictures. I'll show you later.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah, because I'm.
I didn't even notice it today.
Yeah.
I was reviewing my pictures. I was like,
Wow, I'm like one of those. Like if I ask someone to move something, I'm forewarning you right now. I'm gonna be out of there faster than the rest of you. I want to see it happen, but I'm too scared to stay in the same room.
So here's the interesting thing about poltergeist. There's no true definition.
Right.
But the definition is noisy ghost.
Yeah.
So you're really a poltergeist might just be an intelligent one, and that's how they
Trying to
choose
get your
it.
attention.
That's the only way they know to communicate.
Throw something, touch it, move it.
For instance, a lot of times in asylums, up here, even Waverly, a lot of people they get touched, and they automatically assume it's a poltergeist,
Yeah.
malicious. And in all reality, if you think about it, most of the kids in Penhurst, Waverly, they were blind. So the only way they can
just
communicate.
grab, yeah.
So it's hard. You really have to wonder what is it even really truly a poltergeist, or is it just another form
Right.
of it? And because you saw it in a movie, now it's
Right now, that's speculation, right? So we talk about a lot of times how you are in life is how you are in death. If you're going to be a pain in the butt in life, you're going to be a pain in the butt in death. So people will kick you, scratch you, that kind of thing.
This is how I say it. If you're a dickhead in life, you're going to be a dickhead in death.
Yes, that's so true. And, a lot of times I was telling a story earlier to a guest that would come to our table that just a couple weeks ago we did a public and somebody pulled my hair. But that was the only way for them to get my attention because I was so focused on something else. It drew me back. They pulled it. It wasn't just like lightly grazed, like they jerked it. And I was like, who was that? And it wasn't who was standing beside of me because I knew that person. And I finally connected with someone's spirit that came with a person that was there that night. They got a message that they needed. But sometimes that does take a lot of energy. But it's the only way they know how to get a hold of somebody, and you just got to be able to be cautious and pay attention to it.
You ready for the next one?
I'm ready. I think so.
All right, so the next one is a malicious spirit.
Ooh.
And notice I said malicious
Just
and not demonic.
mean.
So again, like we just said, if you were an asshole in life,
Yep.
you're going to be an asshole in
Yep.
death.
That's exactly right. We have come across a few nasty ones. I'll say nasty. They're not demonic. I've been doing this for almost 5 years now, and I've never came across a demonic spirit. Now, a couple cranky ones, even some of our publics, they will cuss you out. They'll call you names. And you just got to be respectful and know that, hey, again, that's who they are, and you have to work your way around that. There's some that aren't going to want to talk to you. You're in their room at midnight in a hospital, and they're like, no, I'm not ready for this.
Right.
So it's just a respect, right? It's about the intent. They're not going to be mad or hurt you, but it's all, hey, you just have to respect that's their space.
So my best malicious ghost story, Anderson Hotel. I got bit.
No.
I got a tattoo of it.
Oh my gosh.
You see it?
Yeah.
She just wants to see my legs, guys.
That's it. Showing them off. My
There's
goodness.
an exact tattoo of it.
Oh my goodness.
So, but that happened to me. So to me, that happened to me kind of like last night. And,
Yeah.
I just regrouped with it back. So, okay, so you know the alcohol ring.
Yes.
Okay, you know the whole story behind that.
Yes.
Okay, so guys, you've heard this story before, but I'm going to tell it again because it's important. So, it's the Anderson Hotel, but it's not a hotel. We're not talking about the Hilton or even the Super 8.
It was
It's a
low
transit
budget.
hotel.
Yeah.
It's a transit hotel. So I don't know about when you guys went. But when I went, it was obvious that they wanted it to be violently hung. So we went after the 3 years they were shut down.
Yeah.
We were the second team to go.
Yeah.
So in the 3 years that it was shut down, they decided to put a haunted attraction in.
Yep.
So, which is never the smartest idea.
No, it is not.
I understand you got to make money.
Right, you do. But there's other ways to do it.
The guy upstairs continued running his prostitute ring. I don't know.
Yeah.
So when you guys went, did they have the voodoo logo still painted?
I know they had just gotten done with it. They were turning it into the haunted house for Halloween.
So,
but they had some spirits, vodka.
Yeah.
And some
So when we got there, the guys gave us a tour. Somebody had the brilliant idea to paint a voodoo symbol.
oh no.
So without any research.
Yeah.
So they painted one that looked cool.
Yeah.
And it did look cool, but it was one that opened the gates of hell.
Uh-oh.
So yeah, they had built like an altar, I guess,
Yeah.
around it to try to neutralize it. So they had, yeah.
Didn't work.
So then, as you know, there's 4 verified suicide,
Yes.
possibly 5,
Right.
but 4 verified. And when I say verified, I verify it with the coroner report of the police
Yeah.
because I take my reputation seriously.
Exactly.
So you have the bloodstained bathtub,
Yep.
and you have the 3 bloodstained mattresses.
Yep.
So the bloodstained bathtub is why I got it.
We got bit.
Yep. And it didn't feel like a bite. It
Yeah.
felt like an Indian bite.
Oh, somebody scratched.
Like a
you,
really
twitched
deep,
in your.
like
Yep.
a really. So anyway, so the little 19-year-old, 20-year-old girl that
Uh-huh.
she wouldn't talk to me.
Yeah.
She talked to the girls.
Yes.
So me and Dennis, we went on up to the blue room, the
Yeah.
guy. So let me say before I continue on the story, the idea that they ask you to bring a liquor bottle bothers me. That
It breaks my heart.
to me
Yeah.
that's kind of provoking.
It is.
So
Love
anyway,
that.
so the backstory with the guy, we actually got his name. Did you guys get his name?
No, but I'll tell you a great story. I connected with him, but I'll tell you how in just a little bit.
Okay. Let me finish my story. Then I would definitely want to hear yours. So me and Dennis get there, and we don't get a whole lot. Dennis is bigger than I am.
Oh my
I
goodness.
mean, I'm big this way, but
Yeah.
Dennis is big. He's not. He's big. He's fatter than I am, but he's big. And something pushed him down. That never happened to him before.
Yeah.
He's been investigating for like 15 years.
Yeah.
And I mean, they pushed him hard enough down.
Yeah.
So me being me, I decided to go in the closet where he committed suicide.
Yeah.
I think I like
Smart move.
punishment.
Yeah.
So as soon as I went in the closet, all my injury was drained, and I hit the ground.
Yeah.
And Dennis dragged me out, and I just kept going. So that's about the only things that really happened to us. I mean, but something told me that we ended up finding his name was David.
David. Oh, yeah.
And so we something told me that David does not like females.
Yeah.
So I radio back to the girls because we rotate every hour.
Yeah.
We we take a little 10-minute drink, smoke, whatever
Yeah.
you got to
so
do,
we
break.
do too.
Yeah, and then we rotate because nobody smokes in my investigation for a couple reasons. One, most places just don't allow it,
Right.
and And the main reason to me, cigarette smoke looks like aberration of film.
Exactly.
So we switch. As we get ready to switch, I radio back, and I'm like, I know we're getting ready to switch, and I know you're coming up here. But Dave does not like females.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But he does not like. So I skipped this part of the story because I've shared it so many times. But as you know, and most of the viewers know, Dave ran prostitutes in and out of that.
Yeah.
So my niece, Jill's daughter, is on our team. At that time, she was 19.
Oh.
She decides to use the prostitute angle to get communication. I still have this EVP, best EVP I've ever captured.
Oh my goodness.
First one. So she goes up there and she goes, I'm 19 and cute. Can I get a job? The response was $50 and free room. Just like that. Just as clear as I'm talking to you.
Oh my goodness.
So it kind of escalated from there. Dave kept rubbing up on Jill.
Oh.
Then Dave grabbed Tiffany.
No.
Yes, that's when I ended the investigation.
Like we're done. Done
Yeah,
talking.
yeah. Well, it's a safety issue.
Yeah,
team
you
safety
have
spirit.
to. Yeah, you have
So
to.
yeah,
You gotta break it.
so that's a malicious spirit. It wasn't demonic. Dave was just a dickhead.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of his room, when we went, it really felt like they were sideshows at a circus. There was a lot of beer cans. They bring them, sit all in there, and that was his weakness.
Yeah,
was
that's his
alcohol,
vice.
right? And so to keep constantly reliving that same thing through death is going to be miserable, right? You don't want to keep. That's what killed him. You don't want to keep doing that. And I remember I was sitting in a chair. My dad was at the time with us, and Matt was with me in the room. My sister. Had a live recorder on, so I was just sitting there listening in the chair, and I'm listening to them to talk. They're just chit chat over and over, and I'm getting madder by the minute. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, no one's listening to me. Granted, I hadn't said anything in like 15 minutes, but I was, and I say channeling, I was connecting with him in the fact that he was just like, I just want to be heard. I want to be a person again. I want you to know my story of what truly happened to me, and just hear. And Matt goes, you need to get out of that, because I had zoned completely out. And he was like, are you guys like, no one's listening to me. No one's paying attention to who I am. It wasn't me. I could have cared less. I was sitting in the chair. But to connect to him in that retrospect of being like, I just want to be heard. And that's why we do what we do, right?
It is.
To tell
And what's
our
interesting
stories.
is we was going to go back this year, even after all that happened.
Yeah.
Even the girls were going to go
Yeah.
back. But that's when they decided the roof had to be fixed, and they never reopened.
Yeah.
They actually tried to keep my money.
Yeah.
I had already paid.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I got my insurance coming.
Good.
So, all right. Before we get into the next speed,
Yes.
no, we have to cover this one. Okay.
All right, let's cover it.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Come on.
I knew that was coming. I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know how I feel about it. Now, again, we go back to a lot I think are either malicious. A lot of them are non-human that we contact. We went to a couple places that were
There's definitely nothing
Indian style.
demonic.
Yeah.
There's non-human. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
there is elementals. I mean, you just have to know what you're dealing with, which is a great benefit to our team. Is there are so many different backgrounds on our team. I know you and I talked about that too. That everything coming together, people know different things, cryptids, all of that stuff. That you just have to know what you're dealing with. It's never demonic. It's just it's not human.
Okay, so as we know, I actually am a trained demonologist.
Right.
I don't particularly like that term.
Right.
But so there's a couple of things that everybody has to understand about demons. First of all, Sam and Kobe have never seen a demon in their lives. Second of all, I'm probably gonna get sued, but that's okay. They can afford good lawyers. They're charging $1,200 to go see a school.
Oh goodness.
I'm gonna get myself sued. I really am. I'm sorry, guys. When you make my job harder, I'm going to come back at you. And because of them, I couldn't release my video from Harriman Hospital.
That's right. You're talking about that.
Same thing with Old South Pittsburgh, because somebody who happens to be the Spice Girls of the paranormal field was going around with a lie and saying everything was demon. But anyway, so demon. So what we have to understand about demonic hauntings, if there is so. I mean, I'm trained by Bishop Long.
Yeah.
Who is the exorcism.
Right.
He's actually retiring this year, sadly.
Oh no.
And I hope he changes.
Good for him. But
I hope he changes his mind, because the person he put as his replacement. He actually sent out a request for help. He sent out a request for help 2 weeks ago. I'm like, you're supposed to be the help. But anyway, we're not gonna get into that because then I'll have the church near me.
We got to stay away from that part.
But that's why we have to play the opinions expressed. But so okay, so I acknowledge that it is demonic happening, but you're talking about less than 1%.
Exactly.
So, but what we have to understand, if it is demonic, it was never human.
Right.
So that's the first thing. And everybody tries to say that, not everybody, a loud majority of people try to say the demonic is a Christian Catholic thing, but it's not. Demonic demons, even the term demon, goes all the way back to Aztecs and Cherokee. So it predates biblical. And if you've never dealt with a demon, which like you said, I've only got one case that I can even say maybe, and I don't even go. You don't want to,
right?
I'm blessed to have the ability if I need it, and I'm blessed to have people call me and say, I think this is. Yeah. Luckily, it's never been.
Right.
But is that something you really want to do?
Right.
And the thing everybody has to realize is all attachments, possessions. I don't like that word either. But anything, even demonic ones, they have to be invited in. You can do that subconsciously. It doesn't have to be, like the case that I told you that I'm getting ready to help with here in a couple weeks. Their end is probably the husband's abuse, alcohol, his physical abuse of his wife and his kids, plus the abuse of the drugs, and alcohol. And it's like I told him, I was like, if he's going, I can't help unless he's going to participate. Exactly. I was like, I can. It's going to be hard. Right. And if I help, things have to change afterwards. So it's just going. So anyway, but that's the thing. We see on TV and in the movies, demons and even ghosts can just do whatever they want to. Right. It doesn't really work that way. And the other thing that's always misinterpreted, this doesn't really have anything to do with, and I'm throwing in there, this is free. The next one is $19.95. Spirits can cross over whenever they want to. We don't cross them over. We're not that powerful. Right. We might help show them the way, but if they're still here for a reason.
Exactly.
And just like we can subconsciously invite them, they can subconsciously be here.
Yeah.
That goes back to the ones that don't know they're dead.
Right.
So, and it breaks my heart when somebody comes to me and says, I hope my mom's still here. Yeah. No, you don't. You want your mom. You want your mom to but she's still here. There's a reason. Best case. I don't know how we get off track, but that's okay.
It's all right.
Best case I've ever had. We got called out by the sheriff's department.
Okay.
It's an old urban legend site, so I thought it was kind of interesting. It's an urban legend like you have in every town. Prom date, wreck.
Yeah. See them on foggy nights. Yeah.
It was actually true.
Oh my goodness.
And so everybody kept complaining about spirits, which is odd because I live so nobody really talks about it. But so we get called out. We're actually good friends with the deputy sheriff, the chief deputy sheriff. So we get called out there, and we make contact with the girl real fast. Her name was Evelyn, by the way. So we make contact with her real fast, and she basically tells us that she's still there because she's waiting to cross over with her fiance, whose name is Alex.
Yeah.
So, we can't find Alex.
Yeah.
Well, we finally made contact with Alex, and so we're like, Evelyn said that she's waiting to cross over with you. Well, Alex told us, he's like, well, tell her that's sweet, but it's not going to happen. He's like, because I'm going to hell, and that's why I haven't crossed over.
Man.
So that was kind of it's not like the happy feel good.
Yeah, it's not.
But I mean, it's part of our job.
It is.
I love it or hate it. So before I get to the next people that I want to talk about, we kind of talked around it a little bit earlier. I mentioned it and kind of skipped over. Let's talk a little bit about different techniques of investigating.
Yeah.
So myself, I tell people I use the old school techniques with the new school technology.
Right.
So that's how we investigate.
Right.
So what's your guys' style?
So our team is very, very big on the Victorian method. You mentioned earlier our favorite piece of equipment. I honestly you told me I couldn't, but it is ourselves, right?
If I can't say myself, you can't say.
Yeah, I know.
I guess I can. It's my show.
Favorite.
It's my show. I guess I can say.
But no, I mean we use ourselves for a lot. It's the best form of of validation is what you get, the thoughts you get, the connections you make. You can't make those up. They're not your thoughts. They're their thoughts that they've given you to be able to get their word out, right? So we do use a lot of dowsing rods, a lot of pendulums, a lot of seances.
Training.
Those, yeah, I cannot connect with those for some reason. I don't know why. I don't think I can keep my hands still enough to make it move.
Well, I'm still learning, but my energy is like everybody tells me it's like perfect for that.
Yeah, I'd say it is.
Yeah.
I'd say it is. So we use a lot of that. You know, we do a lot on our own. We do some seances to try to connect and stuff. We have a very gifted medium on our team, and a few different that are on that same path that we're all working towards that. So it does help. I mean, you can't. There's never a wrong way to investigate something other than the intent. The intent is the biggest thing that we always really
No provoking.
Yes, we really push being positive, right?
Yeah.
Being positive and light. You can't be the other way. If you are,
It's
a whole different experience.
and a lot of it has to do with like your moods when you go into investigation. I don't know anybody in my investigation if you're in a bad mood.
Yeah, we tell ours, like, if you've broken up with a boyfriend, girlfriend that day, if you've had a bad day at work, if you've been crying a lot, don't do it, because you're just leaving yourself way too vulnerable to be in that atmosphere.
That person gets to watch my
Yeah.
DVR while we watch
Yeah,
this.
you get to watch the computer the whole time because you're not getting out of there. Because who knows what's going to come back with you or what's going to bother you because you're not in the right mindset.
So I completely agree. I mean, you know that already. I'm the best trainer.
Mm-hmm.
When I do the walkthrough to begin the investigation, I go equipment free.
Yeah.
I let them walk through, tell me what kind of equipment I need, what I need to put. To me, the equipment that I got, the fancy equipment, everybody else saw, it's for validation.
It is.
It's for it's valid, and it's also good for homeowners. When you go into a residential investigation, don't talk about residential investigations.
Right.
Because when you go to residential investigation, it's about helping the family.
Correct.
It's not about likes or Facebook. But it's a lot easier to go to the homeowner and be like, this is what I captured on film.
What's going on? Good. How are you all? I'll holler at you all in a minute. You're fine. Yeah.
Hey, we're live.
We're special around here. I'm just kidding.
We are live. Well, that's okay. Jimmy had to stop yesterday and sign a picture. So
it's
we're
it.
live.
You got to do what you got to do.
I'm charging $60 for my picture.
That's it. Look at my purple.
But anyway, as I was saying, but it's a lot easier to go to the homeowner and be like, this is what I get.
Exactly. They want that validation piece. They want that proof, right? You can tell them your thoughts, but until you can give them a piece of black and white evidence, whether it's on Spirit Box or whatever, they're going to have a hard time believing it.
Yeah. So to me, that's what the equipment's for.
Exactly.
Okay. So let's talk about. Are you ready?
Ready. Ooh, I love Estes.
You want to give the history of this method for the people who don't know?
So Estes is using the Spirit Box with headphones, so you are tuned out from having any kind of tampering with hearing the questions.
5:30.
Yeah, you don't hear what's being said.
This is a
you.
pseudoscience.
It is. I mean, we've even combined Estes, which is using the Spirit Box with headphones, and then also giving the person dowsing rods at the same time. So we call that the King method. So you get some extra validation pieces. It's fantastic. I love it. But again, because when I do it, I get where I'm empathic. I get so many people trying to come to me at once. It's very hard to use it. It's very hard to use it. Some of the boxes we do, like the SB7s that we'll have, you can get radio frequencies. Those are tough because, they're in a linear fashion. You're going to hear radio snippets through them. I thought she was calling me. You're going to hear radio snippets, where some of ours from JW Prather that are very random in their frequencies, it's hard to say that that's radio because you're never going to get the same frequency twice right in a row. Right, so they are very good to hear a voice, to put a voice with it, especially with the same voice over and over. You can fit that to one person. So I think they're very special. It's a very good experiment, but you have to be very open and vulnerable to be able to do it.
I understand the theory behind it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I understand it. And I mean, I want to say I probably love the concept, but like you, not for me. I can't do it. Too many people want it.
Yeah.
So the first time I was ever exposed to this was a bad experience.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So so it took me a while to actually. So the story is back to the Metropolitan Hotel. Like I said, I've been there. So we were actually collaborating with another team. I'm not going to mention because I still respect this team. I've came to learn to re-respect it. I did not for a little bit after this. So they decided they decided on their own that they wanted to do the Estes method in my investigation, and of course they asked me, and I was like, yeah, but I was like, it has to be the right person,
right? And not everybody can do it.
Yeah. So they decided to pick my trainee.
Guinea pig.
Yeah, and then they decided they wanted to handcuff him. I'm like, you don't handcuff anybody.
No.
So that's why it took me a while.
Traumatizing.
But now, with that being said, like you said, you've added the Dawson rods. I've added the Paratech.
Yeah.
And and you can actually hook a microphone up. Headphones up there too.
Yeah.
Because it's audio, so you actually So and of course you have your portal box.
Yeah.
So and that looks good on TV and everything.
It does.
But a lot more static, even more than your regular thing. But it looks good. And we've even added the goggles.
Blindfold people. Yeah.
And the reason we added that is because some people are just not comfortable with the blindfold.
It does, and either blindfold or just put goggles. It takes that sense of you can open your eyes and see stuff again, right? You kind of make yourself extremely vulnerable. Kind of going back to what I said earlier, if you are very closed off, you're not going to get anything. You'll stand there in the dark and not hear a word.
Yeah, my best, and I'm going to do this real fast so we can get to the next speed thing because we've been on here forever, but that's okay. That's how my podcast rolls.
That's all right.
I'm only supposed to be like an hour, and my podcast always go 2
Oh,
hours.
goodness.
And they try to kick me off my spot or move me up, but I'm the number one show on Friday, so they can't really kick me off.
There you go.
And that's even the same with the orange following me. So that's the same. Yeah. So we was at we was at in the slave cemetery.
Yeah.
We got really good. Yeah. So I mean, if it's just another tool. If used properly, so let's talk about different kinds of locations.
Okay.
So for this round, there's a difference between a prison and a jail. There's a difference between a hospital and an asylum. I just clarified that because some people try to throw it all together. There's a difference. So let's start with one that I probably have a different take on than most people. Let's start with cemeteries.
All right. Cemeteries are, you're going to get a little bit of anything and everything. It's not just one general like a hospital or a prison or a jail. It's got a little bit of everybody. You've got children, you have moms, dads, brothers, sisters, cousins, whatever. So it's going to be tougher to figure out who you're talking to because there's so many different people that come through that for you. And some are going to be a little bit more darker, maybe a little bit older than some that that you buried your grandma yesterday. So I don't know. I like them, but we've not really done a whole lot of investigations in cemeteries.
So I have a different take on cemeteries than most people in the field. I'm not a big cemetery person.
Yeah.
This is why. I don't know why I feel like I need to validate myself, but it's my show. If I say it, no.
If you say it, it's reason.
So, but no, really, why is because there's no real reason for them to be in a cemetery.
I totally agree with you.
They didn't live there. They didn't die there. They have their connection. And then the other thing is, if they are there, I feel like I'm trespassing.
Yeah.
I'm disturbing their peace.
You are.
So now, with that being said, there are exceptions. If I'm called to a cemetery for a specific person, okay. We have a cemetery back home that we investigate every so often, but it was originally a Civil War basic training camp.
Oh, cool. So it had a different life.
Yeah, and then it became a cemetery. And there's actually even a witch buried there. She wasn't a witch. She was a Cherokee medicine woman. Yeah. But in the 1940s, you were a Christian.
That's what she was.
Yeah. So so I mean, we were just, but that's a little bit different. It has an history beforehand. And now Jill, she loves cemetery.
Yeah.
B, I'm not telling people not to investigate cemetery.
Right.
If that turns you on, go for it. It's just not my thing.
That's the same here. I just don't. I'm kind of like you, even if if your family members, they're not there.
Yeah.
So why go visit them? Or that's just my opinion.
Yeah,
I just have never been that way to go see them after they're gone.
Spirits are going to come back to
what they remember.
Yeah. So let's go with schools.
Schools. We've only done one or two. We're not done too many schools. I don't know. I know there's a lot of trauma in schools.
You use Sam and Cody's for $1,200.
Yeah, no, thank you. I can do much better than stuff for $1,200. Go back to Transit Game for a little bit more than that. I think there are some traumas that happen in schools, but I don't know.
So here's my issue with school. Now, my school, let me do my answer. So the problem with schools is You hear the same story in every school. So and so committed suicide in the bathroom. Blah blah
It
blah.
don't matter what school you go to, they're all the same.
Yeah. So urban legends, I guess they have to be based somewhere, but not in every city.
Right.
Okay. Now my high school, I would like to miss it. My high school was the first big high school shooter,
Oh,
even before Columbine. I
wow.
went to school at Heath High School.
Oh my goodness.
So it's not a high school anymore. It's now a middle school.
Yeah.
But so yeah, there's so much trauma there. The shooter was actually shooting at the prayer group, and so yeah. So I think that would be good.
That's different.
Yeah.
You know, there's something that's traumatizing that's happened there, big time traumatizing.
So let's go churches
Churches,
or religious buildings.
religious buildings. Again, it goes back to depending on your religion. You know, Buddhist, Hinduism, Christianity. You know, Catholicism. Everything's different, right? You don't know what you're going to come in contact with because everybody believes a little bit differently with their gods or God or alternate person of higher being. So it's you got to know where you're at.
I love religious buildings,
Yeah.
especially churches. And every one I've ever been to, I've got good evidence.
Yeah.
And I got a theory for you. You want to hear a theory?
Get to it.
My theory is based on my experience in that was a safe place when they were alive.
Yes.
So
You're right.
why wouldn't it be safe for them to come back to?
That's very, very true. Especially if they're,
Especially the Baptist
I
Catholics.
was say if that's where they love to be and that's where they felt the closest to the other side. I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't want to be there if that's what they love.
You know what's interesting? This is kind of a side note, but it's kind of on the same line. So I went over to see the lady from where we're rich from.
Yeah.
And she noticed she noticed that one first.
Yeah.
And then she noticed that one. She's like, what does that mean? That's like born again. She's like, you're born again question, you're paranormal investigator? I was like, yeah. She's like, ain't that a little weird? I was like,
It's a tough line to
I was like, no,
I'm
not
right there with you.
I was like, not to me.
Yeah.
I was like, from the outside looking in, I said, but I was like, to me, my gift was given to me from God to be used. So yeah.
I'm right there with you in that aspect. I mean, I follow that same line, and people look at you kind of funny, but you're like, God gave me a gift to help people, so why not use it?
Yeah, I like arguing with people. I actually have two degrees in philological studies.
That's what you were talking about the other day.
Yeah.
I think that's so fascinating.
Yeah. Rob and Sarah from Get Hunted, they had me on their podcast because somebody was like trying to, and they're like, "Hey, we have to have an actual Bible scholar."
Yes, we can have some good debates on this.
Yeah. So okay, let's go with jails.
Jails, I think, if you compare them to prisons are so much darker. There's so many more, you've got maximum, the prison, all the darkest, the meanest of the meanest, the nasty murderers and everything else versus jail. They may just be a small time, I stole something criminal that just happened to hate life. You know what I mean? So there definitely is, I like prisons more, even though they're darker.
Well, you're going to go to prisons because that's going to be the next thing. So
But their stories are so much stronger.
And with prison, the thing is with prisons, they're usually there longer. So
They are.
That's their life for so long.
Yeah.
I seem to get my best activity at prisons at like the mess hall.
Yes.
And it makes sense looking back because that's where they actually got to interact.
Yeah. Rushy, we had a big experience where we're sitting there doing some different experiments, had a tripwire. Some of it we could hear them snoring. There was nobody there, but they were snoring in the middle of the mess hall, and you're like, who's asleep?
Yeah,
Like,
a lot of people try to say death row and stuff, but they're isolated there, so why would they?
Yeah,
right.
They knew where they were headed, so they don't. At that point they gave up.
How about asylums?
Those are fun. So asylums. So my sister, for instance, she's on our team. She has a degree in psychology. She views those so much differently than some other people because with that background, you see a different aspect of those people, right? Let's look at, multiple personalities. You may one day connect with someone and she's 12. The next day, the very same person, she's 45 and she's a different person, but it's the same patient. They have such stories that they're ready to tell. And they're good to hear.
I love asylums, and like you said, you have to take it from that standpoint.
You have to look at it from what it was.
Every investigation is different for every investigation. So we're going to get a little bit personal with me right now. So I hope that's okay. It's my show. So I came from a very abusive child.
Oh my goodness.
My stepdad was very abusive. I stayed home longer than I probably should have because I was able to protect my mom's son, and as long as I was there, I was able to protect my brothers.
Yeah.
So So that I come for that. So when I go to asylums, especially like mental, I kind of connect on that basis.
Yeah.
So, and like we were saying earlier, most spirits in an asylum they're not malicious.
They're not.
They're definitely not demonic.
They just want
They
attention.
may be kind of neutral.
Yeah.
Most of them are just trying to get your attention.
Yeah, they just want your attention. They want just someone to talk to. And you can tell it too when you walk in. They get so excited. I mean, we are filming this Field of Fears documentary in Randolph County at Randolph County Asylum, which was a poorhouse originally. And so there you go in from the original like main where people were entered in, checked in and stuff. It's very calm, quiet, but you walk through those doors of that asylum and they come alive. They're ready to talk to you. They're ready to hear you.
See, that's why it used to be a grave room. Used to before you can even set up your equipment, you see them just walking.
Oh, yeah, they're ready. They're like, all right, we're here. Like, where are you at? We're ready for you. And they're pulling at you and being like, hey, talk to me. We're like, we can't get to all of you at once. It's one at a time, please.
It's a good thing. It's a blessing, but it's not.
It is.
I'm never going to shut down that communication.
No.
But as you know, we also have to protect ourselves. So if it's a dark one, we have to tell them they can't. But anyway, all right. So we're at an hour and 20 minutes. So
we're doing good.
Yeah. So I've enjoyed talking to you.
Yes.
Tell everybody what you guys got going on, how to find you,
so
all that fun stuff.
We are on all social media. We are srsparanormal.com. Me, look at me. No, I'm just kidding. We have Field of Fears. It's a documentary, just like I said, about Randolph County Asylum in Winchester, Indiana. It's a beautiful facility that hopefully is coming out in the next couple months. We also are doing a show called Into the Light. It is a cold case show, kind of true crime with a mediumistic standpoint, seeing it from a more metaphysical side and connecting with we've got a retired police officer on the crew as well as myself, Matt, and another medium, Rhonda Caudill, who's our lead psychic. So we're hitting some cold cases here locally and across the whole entire United States. So that's something coming out too. If you are here locally with us, we do a lot of public investigations. We keep all those on our social media. You can check us out anytime. It was such a pleasure to meet you and hang out with them all weekend. It's been so
in
much fun.
2026,
yes,
we're going to be doing Waverly and the Ditto House together.
We will be there. I'm so excited.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys. It's so nice to meet you all.
Let's see if I can do this.